Alright guys, so welcome back to my channel. Now, if you did not know, every single week and pretty much every other day as well, I'm posting a lot of free content, especially on my Instagram channel. Sort of on my Instagram page, as you can see, a lot of actual live analysis that I do send out for completely free. So if you're not following, make sure to be following as well. On my free Discord as well, the link is down below. I send free charts every single time. And then when it comes to the free PDFs, you guys have access to that as well in that free Discord. But many people ask me, how do you actually do this analysis? From start to finish. I always start off with a fresh chart, and then eventually I'm able to analyze certain areas and look at certain directions. And I think from the feedback I've been getting, a lot of these sort of analysis that I've been doing have been helping a lot of people, and especially in terms of direction, and then obviously in terms of market execution as well. That's where, the people who are involved with the elite strategy, that's where they understand how I get into the charts. But when it comes to the actual analysis, in this video, I'm going to be explaining from start to finish how I go from a fresh chart all the way up to some of the more developed charts, something like this. And I don't mean to say this to say I'm the best trader in the world, because I'm definitely not. I'm just a guy who likes to give out a lot of knowledge and help out and everything. But a lot of the times when I do my analysis, a lot of these areas do hold up, and especially in terms of the directions as well. Now, why is this? So we're going to break it down in a few steps. Whenever I have a fresh chart, and I'm going to be doing this a few times in this video, a few key pairs that people look at, and we're going to be analyzing it from fresh. These are the few things that I always look at. So when we look at number one, it's going to be the higher time frame trend. Now remember, this is comprised of two parts. The first part is going to be the fundamentals, and the second part is going to be the 4-hour chart. For me, the 4-hour chart is one of the most effective ways to actually see the high time frame trend. And the reason I stick to the 4-hour chart is simply because of this. All of my entries come down to the 5-minute time frame. For those of you that have my elite strategy, you understand that it's the 5-minute time frame that I execute on. By the way, if you're not signed up to that, it's honestly, I've got this massive discount on at the moment. It's £50 for the whole course. Not even for the course, for the whole strategy. That's probably going to be going soon, to be honest, with a few things that I've got coming up. But yeah, high time frame trend is going to be starting off with the fundamentals and the 4-hour chart. By fundamentals, I can't teach that all in one video, but trust me when I tell you, I'm going to be bringing out a few key things to teach it in the future. Now, when it comes to the 4-hour chart, it's going to be very simple. All I do is I go on the 4-hour chart, I zoom out to any time, any sort of time frame that I can actually see that's suitable. All I want to see is where are the significant highs, where are the significant lows, and where are potential areas that we're going to be moving towards. So now, when we're zooming out on all of this, if we go out on the 4-hour time frame and we're zooming out to this much time, we're pulling back all the way back to 2022. Now, for me personally, I don't find that that's necessary. I find what's necessary is basically just seeing where the highs and lows are, and then where we are in terms of the ranges as well. So I think this is quite a suitable area. We're looking back, what is this, around 6 months of data. So all I can see at the moment is we've had this downtrend for a while. We've hit this discounted area over here. So when that happens, potentially we are going to have two scenarios. We are either going to continue this downtrend as we have been doing, something like this, or potentially, because we've hit this discounted area at this kind of zone over here, we might actually get a push through and then a continue upwards. So these are the two scenarios that we do have. So now that I have this understanding, what I basically need to look for is, where is the trend heading to in the current stage, where price is, and then where are we potentially going to move to within the next week or so. So that's very important. You have to understand, where is price actually going to move within the next week. So now we've identified the high time frame trend. The next thing we look at is the closer trend, high time frame trend. So we've established these two things. Once you've got the high time frame trend, then I would say the closer high time frame trend, and by that I kind of mean this kind of range that we've got over here. So as you can see in this high over here, then we've got the low. We are basically trading within this kind of range on the high time frame, of course. So once we have that bias in mind, pretty much what we're going to be looking for is stuff like this. We're going to be looking for liquidity. We are then going to be looking for, let's actually push this down. We are then going to be looking for supply and demand areas. And then from that, we would basically be able to assess our direction. So from this, pretty much as you can see from the previous analysis that I've actually had, is this: we're moving in this downtrend, especially on this closer higher time frame trend. We have this leg up here, all the way stretching all the way down to here. So what it seems like price is doing is continuously creating these highs and pushing upwards and upwards. Now, where can it actually push upwards towards? This is why I say third is going to be liquidity. The reason I say that is because, in my opinion, liquidity comes above supply and demand areas by far. You know, whenever I teach this kind of thing, the way I would always look at it is, first of all, is market structure. Second of all, is going to be liquidity. Thirdly, is going to be supply and demand areas. Once you have these three in check, you can actually start to look for certain areas and then look to actually trade within these zones for sure. So where did I actually see price pumping up in the last week? Now, if we just have a quick look into this short little video, as you can see, the trend has been identified to come to the downside. We are now pulling back into these premium areas. Liquidity has been noted over there. Equal highs above, equal highs below, equal lows below. And then essentially we are going to be looking for price to move into this imbalance, as we've noted in the description over here. And this is something I would definitely say, whenever you are following my analysis, read the descriptions as well, because I get into it in a lot more detail. But yeah, now we're looking at this. Essentially, what I'm going to be waiting for is this imbalance is very clean sort of price action for us to actually move towards. So as you can see, we've got a high over here. We've got some buy side liquidity that is potentially going to get taken. As you can see in that one just over there, we've got this massive imbalance that should likely be filled. And then at some point when we get to this supply zone, that's when I can actually expect for some price action to take place. Now remember, whenever you're doing your analysis, you don't know where the market is going to move at the exact times. All you can actually map out is eventually price is going to move towards there. So what my initial plan was for the week was something like this. I expected for price to give us a sweep above the highs of the liquidity forming over there. We got a push downwards, but we didn't get a significant push downwards. As you can see, only wicks started to form. If we got body closures down below, I would have expected price to at least come to this point of interest over here, if not even further. At that point, I was expecting for price to react to this kind of area and then potentially to push upwards. However, this really does not matter. All that matters is you have the direction in mind. You can see that we are in this lower time frame trend, we are bullish. In the higher time frame trend, we can expect that we're going to get a reaction from here. And we also have the imbalances just below that kind of supply zone. So in our head, we have very clear zones that we're looking at. We have a very clear direction on the lower time frame and the higher time frame. And now at this point, we can be pretty sure that we can now move on with our analysis and we can understand where to go. So like I said in the beginning of the video, make sure to actually join the free Discord below. I have got so much value that I'm giving out over there. Trust me when I tell you, I don't think anyone else is providing this kind of value, especially when it comes to it all being for free. So as you can see, guys, you know, when it comes to PDFs, free courses, all that kind of stuff, a whole 7-module course for everyone to access. So yeah, guys, the community is honestly killing it every single day, even the free community on there. So yeah. By the way, I don't want to say this is completely just educational. You could actually apply this right now, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we've looked at Euro USD because obviously I've analyzed that before. Now I'm going to be looking at a completely fresh chart. So just looking at some examples, these are some of the other pairs that I do look at, but some of the ones that are quite popular. So let's look at US 30, for example. Let's make sure it's a clean chart. Okay, cool. So like I said, I would go on the 4-hour chart and I would basically just analyze where are we actually moving. So as you can see, we're creating some all-time highs, I believe. Could potentially be some all-time highs. I'm not going to scroll all the way back. But essentially what we're looking at is an uptrend. So that's very clear. Now, what has price actually done in recent times? We had an uptrend all the way up until this point. Once price actually broke below here, we started to get a lower time frame downtrend. Eventually, though, we still respected this demand zone over here. Once we got that demand zone being respected, this high was broken. So we have now entered the uptrend again. Price gave a nice little pullback to this fair value gap over here, and then price started to push upwards. Once this price starts to push upwards, where can we expect it to actually move towards? You know, let's just say, for example, we were at this point over here. Where could I actually imagine price going? Now, I know that we are definitely looking for buys. Why would I say that? Because we've hit this discounted sort of order block over here. We've actually broken above market structure over here. So we are now in bullish conditions. We've respected this fair value gap. And now we're basically just waiting for price to push upwards. Where can it push upwards? This is the very simple thing. You look for imbalances. So we have one nice imbalance over here. We have another nice imbalance over here. And then a very nice one up here as well. You could potentially look at these small ones, but I like to look at the major ones. Above all these imbalances are areas of supply and demand. So in this case, we have areas of supply. So areas like this and up here as well. Let's just look at that entire zone, to be honest. Okay, so once that happens and we can actually see that price is now starting to move. Yep. Let's see price starting to move. Okay, if I was on the lower time frame, as soon as we got this break up above, I would basically just be looking for buys. And that's very, very clear indication because we have the trend following the market conditions we want to look for. We have liquidity. We're aiming for these imbalances. We've taken some of these lows over here as well. So liquidity sweep, price now starting to push upwards. Our demand areas have been respected. And now we are expecting for price to actually push up to these kind of areas. So now, as price starts to push upwards, as you can see, more buys, more buys, more buys. When we get to these areas over here, be very careful because we could get a reaction and then price starts to drop. But if we get these supply zones being disrespected, we can completely exclude them from any piece of analysis that we're looking at. As you can see, price just decided to consolidate. It failed at this area. So this area is now completely invalid. We look at the next zone. As price starts to continue, boom, this area is now invalid as well because we've actually broken through it and closed above. So again, this area is invalid. We're still looking for buys. So remember, how do we actually convert this into actual trades? The way you do this is simply you look for the higher time frame. And by the way, we're on the 4-hour chart still. More than likely, you're not going to be taking trades from this kind of time frame. Me personally, like I said on my elite strategy, I look for the 5-minute time frame. You know, we have an 80% win rate and you can actually see the whole track record over here when it comes to the 80% win rate, and you can see the results for every single month when it comes to Euro USD for the past few years. So yeah, this is how you do your analysis. And now where we are in current price, let's just push it to where we are at the moment. Okay, cool. So this is where we are at the moment. We are now starting to fill this imbalance up above, and we do have this nice supply zone at the top. Now, there are going to be two scenarios that I'm going to be looking at. Either price starts to go over there, rejects it nicely, and pushes downwards. Or, for example, it starts to push downwards. Well, there's three scenarios, but I'll explain the main two. It starts to push downwards, but we mark out our demand zones. Where would I take the next one? Potentially over here, but this kind of area. And then let's just say down here as well, because we've got a nice imbalance that we can respect of. So these, if we do get sell side action, we are now going to look for these demand zones. Once we get to these demand zones, that's where we start to look for reactions and take our profits, of course. So remember, whenever you're doing your analysis, you have to be very versatile, if that's the correct word we can use over here. The reason I say you have to be versatile is because don't be in love with just one direction. Because when you have that one direction that you're only looking for, yes, fundamentals might be taking you in that direction, which is completely the right way. You should actually, attend to the market. But the opposite is also true. When we get to certain points of interest, we have to look for reactions. If we get clean reactions where price starts to actually push downwards and then give us our confirmations, we know that, okay, guys, we have to start to look for the opposite side, at least for now. This might not go on forever because remember, we are in an uptrend on the higher time frame. So essentially, what the most ideal situation in my head would be something like this. Either price just continues upwards, it breaks above, and then we look for something like this. Or what price decides to do is it reacts from it, gives some kind of nice discounted area, and then starts to continue upwards. Remember, with this entire high time frame in mind, we are still most likely going to see US 30 continue to the upside. I can do this over and over again, even for example in just a few seconds. I don't want to long out this video way too much. Let's look at gold, for example. We're on the high time frame. Okay, cool, we're bullish. All I'm going to be looking for is now we've had market structure shift to the downside over here. At the same time, we had a reaction of this discounted zone over here. As soon as we started to get a break above, all we're going to be looking for is two areas. We might react from there, and potentially we might react from here, or let's just say even here, for example. Now, quickly, this is literally in just a few seconds. All I'm going to be expecting is something like this, or something like this, and price continues upwards. Either way, one of these areas is most likely going to get hit. Whichever one does get hit doesn't really matter. All that matters is pretty much you get your analysis out. And yeah, guys, I'm always doing this when it comes to the analysis and giving in-depth views as well. Honestly, giving them all the time. So guys, join the free Discord. There's a lot of value going on in there. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.